Am I the asshole for paying my neighbor's child to bang on the wall whenever my girlfriend practices her singing?
Evil. Pay a child?
Well, we haven't heard the whole story yet,
Oh
but
my
just
God.
hearing
Okay.
the title, I'm like, this does not go under am I the asshole? It's like, am I the devil? That's where that belongs.
I
But,
agree.
okay, well,
Wowza. Okay.
let's see. Hey Voxstar, and welcome to From Singer to Artist. I'm Lara Chapman, award-winning singer and songwriter turned viral vocal coach and the host of this show. At VoxTape Studios, we help singers from all over the world level up their voices by teaching them the 3 fundamental skills all singers need: technique, awareness, and artistry. Whether you're looking to go pro or just develop your voice for fun, my team and I are here to help. Check the link in the description to book your first session or grab some of our other resources. Alrighty, are you ready? Let's get started. Coming to you today from beautiful LA with our lovely coach, Juliana. Hello.
How are you?
So great. Always good to see you. Always good to have you on.
you.
The red on you is just
You know,
so
I'm feeling
beautiful.
VoxTape vibes, so I was like, red is the
Yes,
color.
yes, it suits you so well.
Thank
It's
you.
beautiful. Thank you for being here. Today, we're going to chat about practicing.
Yes.
Not necessarily practicing in the sense of how can you practice more, how can you make practicing easier, but how can you feel better about your practicing, even if you are in an apartment complex and
Yeah.
your walls are thin, or you have parents at home. How can you navigate that? And then we'll also look at some Reddit stories
Amazing.
of, people practicing and or people reacting to other people practicing, and
Yeah.
dissect that a little bit there as well, because there's always something we can learn from these stories and trying to put ourselves into the shoes of all these parties involved and come up with a solution that
Yeah.
works for everybody. So
Absolutely.
I would say let's just get started with I live in a house in the Midwest. I have neighbors, but they're not like right there.
Yeah.
You live in beautiful Los Angeles in an apartment.
Yeah.
So does that ever cross your mind where you're like, ooh, I don't want to be loud. I don't want my neighbors to hear me. Or do you hear your neighbors if they're singing? Like, how do you navigate it?
Yeah, I feel like every apartment is different, obviously. I've had apartments where you don't hear a thing.
Yeah.
And it's lovely. I can just put my music like crazy and sing, and I don't have any doubts. However, not all of them. The one I'm currently living at,
That you just moved to.
I just moved to.
Yeah.
And this morning, I was, just like doing things, cleaning, whatever. And I heard my neighbor singing. And I could hear like the song, like muted, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was a Chapel Roan song, beautiful.
Of course.
And she was singing over it. And I was like, oh, so she's going to hear me.
Yeah.
Cool. And it's a thought. It's something that comes with the territory of like apartment living and being an artist, and you just have to first kind of like accept it. Like, I'm gonna be heard,
Yeah.
and that's just what it is. Now, there's things that we can do to make that easier, or to not have that be a problem. Most apartment buildings have quiet hours, like from 8 p.m. or 10 p.m., whatever they are, to like 7, 8 a.m., right? So within those hours, we're not going to be singing. We're not going to be, vamping music super loud. But technically, in the non-quiet hours, you can do as you please.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's limits where you don't want to be screaming
We want to be
for
respectful
5
to our
hours
neighbors.
straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you want to practice for, however long, an hour and a
Yeah.
half, if you have the time, like, amazing. Something to think about if it's like family members. I remember when I lived with my whole family, my brothers, I used to play piano and just like scream and try and belt Skyscraper by Demi Lovato.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, that note. And I would like crack and I would try again and I would try again and I would try again. And my brother would be like, stop. And he would like slam his door.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, Okay, I should probably not do that
Yeah.
over and over. So just be mindful. Not that you're not allowed to sing in practice, but just be mindful of the people around you.
Yeah.
The times where you're doing it. If you want to communicate, hey, I'm going to practice from 6 to 7 p.m. Is it all right if you wear headphones for a little bit so I'm not bothering you and I don't feel like I'm being judged or exposed? I think that's something to...
Comes down to communication.
Yes, it's super important.
Whether you're family members or neighbors, like if you feel so uncomfortable, like you just don't want anybody to hear you, which I can totally relate to.
Yeah.
As a kid, I would not practice at home if somebody was home. I would wait till the house was empty, even though the piano was like so far away from the rest of the house. Where everybody was hanging out, like doors away, like multiple doors needed to, like you could close multiple doors to get to the piano room.
Okay, yeah, it was isolated.
It was very isolated. And again, I didn't want anybody to hear me practice. Because when you're practicing, it's vulnerable because it's not a performance where you're shooting for making pretty sounds and all that stuff. Like when we're practicing, we do some weird shit. Like we crack and we try out things because we're actively trying to get better.
Yes.
Right? And you're gonna quote unquote fail in your practice sessions. Like you're gonna hit a wrong note, you're gonna crack, you're gonna do weird shit, right? So it's gonna happen and it's not pretty, and I get it that you don't really want people to hear that. I was in the same shoes. At the end of the day, like I said, it's about communication, right? If you're like, hey, like you said, can you put on your headphones? Or you knock on your neighbor's door and be like, hey, I love singing, I'm a singer, or singing is a hobby of mine, and I want to practice, but I feel really uncomfortable, or I want to be respectful of viewer space too. Is it okay if I practice from blah 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 to blah 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 on X days? Then it's also accountability.
Yes.
Right? Because like
You're
you now
told
your neighbor that that's what you're going to do, so you better be doing it.
Right. Yeah.
It could help. It could help.
You just gave me a great idea. I'm going to do that. That's really cool.
There you
I haven't
go.
thought of that.
Now it gives accountability, because a lot of times when we don't say it out loud to somebody else and it's just on us to do it, it's so difficult to actually go and do it and hold yourself accountable. But now you put it out in the world.
Yeah.
Now it's much easier to actually go and do it.
Absolutely.
So communicate.
Yep.
And also, I know you're not going to want to hear this, but nobody cares.
Yeah.
Most people don't. First of all, they're not going to hear it, right? Like in your situation now in your new apartment complex, you could hear your neighbor and she can probably hear you too, right? Like that happens, yes, but most of the time, the walls are either thicker or they are not at home when you are practicing. They might be watching TV and they can't hear you.
Yeah.
They, whatever. They're busy living their own lives.
Yeah.
Like, who are you to think that they're gonna be like, what is she doing? It's like nobody cares.
No.
Nobody cares. As long, again, as you're doing it in a respectful way and you're not doing it at 2 a.m. or for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on end.
Yep, exactly.
Worst case scenario, you can, rent a practice room somewhere.
True. Yeah. I mean, it's also like depending on the situation. Like if it's really, really bad, like I was even considering getting like panels, like soundproof panels.
Yeah.
Because like not just for like selfishly, I want to be able to be, as loud and as, annoying as possible, but not, have people complain. But also I want to keep the space for what it's meant to be. Like, yes, I live on my own and I work from home, but it's also my studio and it's also my place where I write and create songs and I sing. So it should feel good. And if it doesn't, what can I do to make it feel good? So I just got a new rug today. It's really pretty.
Nice.
And it's thick and long, so like it
absorbs
sound is, waves, so like whatever you can do to like just cushion that sound, it's gonna make it better. obviously not perfect, but you know, I was even looking at like online literally this morning, like how could I do it? There's like, I don't know if these are on camera, but there's like panels that you can like put in the wall, on the ceiling. I was like, oh,
and
and
these
cute.
days they're cute.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was like, oh,
it's
okay.
not just like foam on the wall or something. That's what I have down in my basement, where I film all of my YouTube videos. But now you can have things like this where it actually
I think
like,
that's a sound
looks
thing.
pretty.
Yeah.
And it absorbs the sound too. I actually, oh my gosh, this is probably a year ago now. I had a lesson with someone from LA, and he just got a vocal booth.
Ooh.
He bought it off of he got it for free. He found it on Facebook Marketplace or some like Craigslist, one of those two. And it was like, hey, this is free, but you got to come pick it up.
Wow.
Because like it's a big thing and it's difficult to transport. And he was like, well, I'm getting that, and I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna get this back to my place. So he did his lesson out of his vocal booth.
That's insane. Wow.
And he got it for free.
That's pretty cool.
Gotta get creative. Well, I also posted a YouTube video, a couple weeks ago too, where I was in Mauritius on vacation, and when you are traveling, you're in a hotel room, there's people next door, and I wanted to show you some ways that you can practice quietly without like SOVT was one of those things where you're just kind of going that's way quieter than if you go right. So that's part of it, but then also other little tricks where you take a piece of cloth, like a like a little washcloth or a shirt or something, and you literally sing into the shirt.
Yeah.
Right. So you're covering so much of the sound, but you can belt full out without it being super loud. Like your neighbors are not going to be able to hear that.
Right.
If you belt into a towel, then obviously you take the towel, you sing, you take a breath, you remove the towel, and then it's a little bit of a back and forth, but it works really well.
Yeah.
If you're super conscious about that.
Right.
Or you take a plastic or paper cup, plastic or paper cup, and you make a little hole in the bottom of it, and then you sing into the cup, which again is going to dampen the sound so much. But you don't have to do SOVT. You can fully open your mouth.
Yeah.
You can belt into that cup, and sound is going to come out through that tiny little hole at the bottom of your cup, which makes it a much quieter.
Right.
So that's another great way to practice and do it in a full, big, loud voice, or whatever it is you want to do. You can also do it quietly. But then, you don't feel so exposed. Yeah. Maybe. That's right. So if you haven't seen that YouTube video yet, go check it out. It goes more in depth there. But those are just some little tricks and tips that you can use if you are, you don't want everybody to hear.
Yeah. That's good.
But I think the biggest thing is like, don't stop yourself because nobody else is there to stop you. So don't do it yourself. Actually, have you ever run into a situation where somebody knocked on your door and be like, hey, can you?
No, not yet. Maybe. In this building that might happen, but also if it's within the non-quiet hours, technically they can't tell me anything.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be like, I am so sorry. It depends, like if I'm like screaming, which I'm not like a huge loud singer either, but when I do get up there, like it's not for a long time.
But again, it comes back down to communication. Yeah. Even if like, let's say, because you work from home, you write from home, like you record, like you do so much at home. So let's say you do have like a 5-hour block where you're like, hey, I'm going to be recording, or I'm going to be whatever, right? Plan it. Yeah. Talk to your neighbors about it and be like, hey, just so you know, I'm going to do this not in the quiet hours, but the hours where we can do whatever we want to do. But I still wanted to let you know that that's what I'm going to be doing during this time. And if they know that that's what happens, it's no problem. I remember my brother throwing like pool parties at our house, like my parents' house. Yeah. And like it would happen maybe once or twice a year, not every weekend or anything like that. It was really a rare occasion. And there was just one neighbor that would and, it's like you go past midnight and it's outside so that your neighbors can hear it. They were just a couple feet that way. was in a house, separate house, but it's outside, so you can hear it a little bit better. There's always one neighbor that would always complain, and she would always say, I don't care if you do it, but let me know that that's what you're gonna do so I can prepare for it, right? And
Smart.
it's like, oh, come on, lady, it's fucking once or twice a year. Like, whatever, let the kids have fun.
Yeah.
But for her, it was just always, just let me know. And so that's what he did the next couple times. Be like, hey, this weekend, this is what we're going to do. And she's like, thank you for letting me know. And then it was not a problem.
Wow.
It's about communication.
Yeah.
It's about
that's
communication. Good. And don't take yourself so seriously.
No.
And so important. Like, nobody cares. Do we want to look at some Reddit stories?
Yes.
Or do you have anything else to add to this conversation?
No, I feel like that's pretty good.
We're gonna learn a lot from these Reddit stories here too. So let's look at the first one here. We got, alrighty. Am I the asshole for asking my live-in girlfriend to find somewhere else to practice her singing? That's the title. All right. My 29 male girlfriend, 26 female, and I are living together. Her lease expired at the end of October, but I still have a few months left in mine, so before we can find a proper place for both of us, we agreed she'd move into my current apartment. Here's the thing. She's a trained actress and singer who's always auditioning for roles in musical theater, and my apartment is not big enough for her to practice her singing. And I'm talking about full-on belting. It's really loud, like songs from Wicked. Without distracting me completely or interfering when I'm on a call, I work from home. I asked her if she could find somewhere else to practice, and I said that when we look for our next place, we'll make sure that it can accommodate both of our needs. She got mad because I knew she had to practice her singing. It's true, I did, but I didn't think it would interfere so much until after she moved in, and said that if I'm the one uncomfortable, I'm the one who should find a co-working somewhere. Am I the asshole here?
Ooh. I feel like I see both sides, but I'm biased.
Okay, share. Why are you biased?
Because as a singer, you need your space. It's not like I'm going to go lock myself in a closet and sing. Like, especially if you're auditioning, you have to move and there's choreo and, it's really hard to find another spot to practice. That's not going to be, hundreds of dollars like that could happen.
Budget.
If you're someone that's working from home, but it's more like you're on your computer, you're on your phone, you're having calls, I think it's a lot easier to go to a co-working space or a cafe or like whatever. So I see her point. Like I don't think he's being an asshole for it. I just think that he could probably be a little bit more understanding and sympathize for however many months they have left in that situation.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Honestly, I'm a little bit more on his side than on hers. Either way, it's a weird situation because, like he's actively saying like, like my lease is not up yet. This is a temporary situation. And when we move out and find a place for the both of us, we're going to make sure that we have enough space for it, right? So like it's not like forever. It's like, hey, this is my space, and like that's not the intention here. So I do believe he's a good guy for that, right? And then I just truly think it comes back down to communication. I get it. Like when he's on a call, she can't be belting Wicked next to it. Like they're gonna hear that. It's uncomfortable for everybody. It seems unprofessional for him then towards like his job. I don't know what he does, but I get what you're saying when you're like, well, it's much easier for him to just go find somewhere else than it is for her. Yeah. But then at the end of the day, it's his place.
Right.
And it comes back down to communication in the sense of like, okay, cool, I'm on calls during this time and this time and this time.
No singing.
No singing during this time.
Yeah.
But on the other, during the other times, you can go, do your audition take or whatever that it is that you need to practice, that you need to film. And then problem solved. Like, I'm like, is it really that hard to make this work? Again, it's temporary.
Right.
So that's a good thought to keep in mind. It's
Yeah.
like, well, this is going to pass.
Or compromise. Like 1 week you co-work, 1 week she rents a space. You know?
Yeah.
So it's an equal.
Yeah. One day
balance.
she's work from home, another day he's work from home.
That'd be
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. The verdict here was not the asshole.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I also don't think that she's an asshole either.
Right.
It's just a situation that can easily be solved with some communication. Yeah, just looking here at the comments. The top comment is not the asshole. If she's belting, she's going to land you guys a noise complaint from the neighbors. She needs to book rehearsal space. It's not reasonable to move into your boyfriend's apartment and assume you can turn it into your rehearsal studio. 2, it's not reasonable to move into your boyfriend's apartment because your lease expired and then tell him to boot his work from home butt out. I kind of agree.
Yeah, okay, I see that.
Not to cast shade, but she isn't quite handling this like a gracious adult I'd want to be dating.
Ooh.
More like a petulant teenager, I don't know that word,
Wow.
whose parents have supported her unquestioningly. That's a weird word. Yeah, okay,
That's aggressive.
friend, you're taking it a bit far.
Whoa, who hurt you? That's a lot.
Oh my
That's a
God,
lot.
Grant always says that. My husband Grant, he's
Yeah.
like, who hurt you? And once he was on a call with a client,
Yeah.
and they were like complaining or whatever, and he literally said, who hurt you? And then he was like, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. But, you know, like there's moments
It just
to say
came
something,
out.
but it just came out. He's like, who hurt you?
Oh my God.
But yeah, so it's
Wow.
like, come
yeah, chill
on.
out.
Like, that's a bit extreme.
Log off.
And also the noise complaint thing, no.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. Again, unless she's doing it in the middle of the night, then that's something else, right? But if she's doing it during working hours,
That's fine.
that's fine, right? So yeah, this whatever. Oh, there's another interesting comment here. So honestly, practicing singing doesn't mean that you have to belt out the song each and every time. Usually you are trying to nail phrasing, tempo, memorizing lyrics, figuring out when to breathe. You don't have to do any of that at full volume. Also, if OP works from home and is in meetings or on the phone, obviously she shouldn't be practicing at the apartment during that time. She can go for a walk or park or she can go for a walk or the park. In the park, whatever, or rent studio space. OP is not the asshole, but they better figure this out before they move into their apartment together.
Yeah.
I do believe it's just a conversation that they need to have. But yes, like practicing your singing isn't all about being loud.
No.
There's so many things that go into it, even if it is a belty song. Like this person says, nail phrasing, tempo, memorizing lyrics, figuring out when to breathe. And there's also like other moments where it's like we want to create contrast, right? And not just be loud, 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 loud. Otherwise, it can be a little bit in your face.
A lot.
But yeah, I agree. Not the asshole. Just communicate.
Yes.
And that should be a pretty easy problem to solve if this is an otherwise healthy relationship.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder what happened between them.
I know there is no
Tell us
update.
Next episode.
I know. I wanna see the update, but there's no update.
Sad.
If you've heard of any crazy singing or music-related stories, or maybe even experienced them yourself, then please send them our way at support@VoxTapeStudios.com. We'd love to share your story and dissect it with everybody here on the show. Of course, all anonymously. I know. Well, maybe in the future. Do we want to do another one? There's a second one. Okay. Am I the asshole for paying my neighbor's child to bang on the wall whenever my girlfriend practices her singing?
Evil. Pay a child?
Well, we haven't heard the whole story yet,
Oh
but
my
just
God.
hearing
Okay.
the title, I'm like, this does not go under am I the asshole? It's like, am I the devil? That's where that belongs.
I
But-
agree.
okay, well,
Wowza. Okay.
let's see. My partner, 33 female, and I, 31 male, have been together for a few years now, and it is nearly all great. I work in the city, but at home currently, and my girlfriend is using her inheritance to work on her quote-unquote art.
Okay.
I am a very supportive partner. I help her film and edit videos, do her promotion on social media, as she is quite shy and reluctant to do it herself. Be a roadie when she gets gigs in her old days. I have even offered to pay for a rehearsal studio for her to practice in that would have, quote unquote, better acoustics than our flat. The only real problem is that I find her singing voice and most of her material to be very annoying. Slow acoustic rap covers that are old hats now.
What?
FFS? I don't know what FFS stands for.
No idea.
Anyways, I can cope for 5 or 10 minutes at a time, but after that, it is like nails on a chalkboard. My colleagues can faintly hear her in the background of my video meetings, even though I close my office door, and I think a few times I've heard them sniggering? Sniggering with 2 G's.
Oh.
I think this is a British person because they use the word flat.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. But I've tried to just ignore it. Probably like little, ooh, what is it? You know, that kind of stuff. As we live in a flat and our neighbors have a child that is currently homeschooling, I have agreed to pay them £1 to bang on the wall whenever I request them to. This was working well until my neighbor's parent asked him where he got the money from for his new trainers, and unfortunately, he ratted me out. The parent had noticed in their hallway conversations that my girlfriend has seemed a little bit down lately and has put 2 and 2 together and figured it out and is now telling me that what I've done is terrible and that if I don't tell my girlfriend what has been going on, then she will. Am I the asshole for just wanting a bit of peace and quiet when I'm working?
Wow. I have no words. Okay. Let me process here. There are ways to talk to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What an interesting brain this man has. Why would he do that? Just talk to your girlfriend.
Yeah.
And if you don't like her art, you're not supportive. I mean, I don't know. If you think it's annoying.
Yeah. I mean, he even, the second sentence here, he put her art in quotes.
That's not supportive.
My girlfriend is using her inheritance to work on her quote-unquote art.
Nah. If you don't believe in her, then why are you with her?
Yeah. There's so many red flags in this. Let's put aside what he actually did, like paying the neighbor's kid to bang on the wall when his girlfriend's singing. Wow. Come on, you're an asshole.
Yeah, no,
major asshole.
That's crazy
for that. But let's put that aside.
Yeah.
Let's pretend like he didn't do that. He just doesn't like it.
Okay.
Still, so many red flags in here. Again, quote unquote art, her art. But then he's like, I'm a very supportive partner, blah, 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 blah. But then he's like, I really don't like, he's like comparing her singing to nails on a chalkboard.
Wow.
Yeah,
no. I hope she's not, not with him anymore.
Yeah, there's not an update, but man, I hope she kicked him to the curb. Wow. Now, there is one green-ish flag in here.
Oh, that he was willing to pay for
Yes, yes. I even offered to pay for a rehearsal studio for her to practice in. Mm-hmm. But then he said, quote unquote, because it would have better acoustics than our flat, right? So he is not upfront about the reason why. Which is why I'm saying a green-ish flag. It's not a green flag. It's technically also a red flag because he's not communicating it.
Disguised.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's at least a good thought behind it, right? again, the execution of it is not good.
No, terrible. Wow.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Oh. And I love the neighbor mom is like,
yeah.
I will tell her if you're not.
Please
like,
do.
She's like, if the neighbor notices that this girlfriend is feeling down,
that's crazy.
How are you okay as the boyfriend with your actions?
Putting
when
her through that.
Clearly know
wild.
that your partner is suffering because of your actions.
Yeah. Evil, man.
Evil.
What
So evil.
Say?
Top comment is, you're the asshole for how you did it. It's easy to soundproof a room a little bit.
There you go.
Sounds like a healthy relationship. Oh, FFS, for fuck's sake.
Oh.
There you go.
Reddit
there you go.
lingo.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, other than that, expecting adult behavior from an adult? Unthinkable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all the comments are like, yeah, no, dude, you're a dick.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Agree.
Because you are. That's not how you handle a situation like this.
No.
Again, it comes down to communication and being honest. And, you know, it's tricky. Like, I don't know how I would... Grant is not a singer. And he knows he's not. And he has no desire to learn. But I'm, like, trying to think, okay, well, what if Grant, like... picks this up as a hobby and is like, no, I'm loving this now. I want to do this. And he's just absolutely terrible. Like, how would I react to it? You know, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes.
Yeah.
You know, because like you love your partner, and I mean, I hope at least they do. But you know, it's like you love them in every way, and this is just one thing that you're like, yeah, I just don't. But you also don't want to break their heart and be like, hey, look, you sound like nails on a chalkboard. You probably wouldn't say it that way. You would probably phrase it a little bit differently. And it sounds like she's trying to do this as a career too.
Yeah.
Right? Like acting and singing and all that stuff. And so, you know, it's like you want to protect them in the sense of like, hey, maybe this is not
for you.
Not for you.
Yeah. Or also he could just like not know, and maybe his perspective is just wrong.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like what's right or wrong, but to him that's what it is, but maybe to somebody else it's something completely different. Exactly. Yeah. But then also, like, if that's the case, then why do you hate your partner's voice so much? There's got to be something else going on too. You know, like. It's when your partner does something and it really bothers you when your partner's doing it, but it doesn't bother you when it's somebody else is doing it. Then it has nothing to do with the action itself. It has something to do with an underlying relationship issue that's going on. Right? So, I don't know. I'm trying to put myself in his shoes, but it's
hard.
You know, like, I don't know how I would react, but I would definitely not do that.
No,
like,
don't pay a child. Or no, that's awful.
Yeah,
poor kid.
But also, like, I think if I see that my partner is so happy doing this, I would do everything I possibly could to help them with it if they wanted my help.
Right.
It's also possible that they don't want your help. Like, I'm a vocal coach. I would probably try and help my husband, and if he's like, hey, actually, I don't want your help with this. I want to do this on my own, or I'm working with somebody else or whatever. I have to respect that. You're like, okay, cool. Great. And then I would try and make arrangements so that if it makes me so ragey, that I would just not be there when it's happening. And then we would communicate about that. Be like, hey, like, I want to respect your space and your practice time, and I have a lot of other things that I need to get done, and I just cannot concentrate on these things that I want to do when I hear you practice. I can't do this. Let's figure out some sort of arrangement where you can have your practice time and I can have my own space too. So, like, how can we make this work? Like, do you want to practice up here and I'm down in the basement so we don't bother each other? Or, like, how can we make this work? Just to
Yeah.
communicate about it.
Exactly.
And, it's like, I don't think I would tell Grant, like, hey, like, I just really can't stand when you sing. I don't think I would do that, but I would make it be like, hey, like, I can't focus on my work, or, whatever. Or watch a movie, put in headphones. Problem solved.
There
like,
you go. Yeah.
He does bring up the work thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, my colleagues can hear it. Blah, blah, blah. That's kind of like the first situation where it's like, well, just
Schedule it out.
schedule it.
Yeah.
Schedule it.
So easy. Yeah.
There's
People
that.
just like don't know how to communicate anymore.
It's so sad, isn't it?
Yes.
It literally is mind-blowing to me. Now, I do have to say, Grant taught me a lot when it comes to communication, because I was the kind of person who would always shut down, like when there was conflict, because there was so much happening in my brain, and I couldn't
get it out.
because I didn't even know what I was thinking. I was thinking this and this and this, and like so many different things at the same time. And he was like, tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? And I'm like, I don't know. But he taught me, and he was patient with me. And so I learned a lot there from him. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And I wish everybody a partner like that, who has the patience to, meet you where you're at and help you grow.
Right.
But you have to be willing to grow.
That's true. Yeah. Because if like the other person, like in those cases, are like, no, I'm going to practice whenever I want to practice, like that's an issue.
That's a major issue.
So like,
super red flag.
yeah.
Yeah.
If that were the case, oh, okay, not the asshole. But, if you don't bring up the issue at hand, then of course.
Yes.
It's,
Just
yeah,
talk
I
it
mean,
out. Talk it out. When in doubt, talk it out.
Yeah.
And your problems are solved.
Yeah.
Boom. There you go. And that, again, goes the same for you at home when you are practicing and you're worried about other people hearing you. Just communicate. It makes everything better.
Yep.
And then you have that additional bonus of accountability.
True. Yeah, I like that. I think that's huge for not just like someone who's having it as a hobby, but like if you're a singer like ourselves, like a career, I feel like that also adds a little bit of, not pressure, but
you're putting it out in the world.
A good amount of stress that you have to do it because you already said you were going to do it.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. Absolutely. And for you, too, with your neighbor, I don't know if she's any good, but, there might be a new friendship that can come from it and be like, hey, I heard you sing. I love singing, too. You never know.
Yeah, true.
You're in LA, after all. It's like, might be a cool new connection. You just never know. So
exactly.
When in doubt, talk it out.
Yeah,
there you go. That's the
that.
theme for today's episode. When in doubt, talk it out.
Oh
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for sharing your input and reading these crazy stories with me. It's like, oh my God.
Wild.
I hope this was helpful for you at home to, feel a little bit more at ease when you're practicing. And yeah, just communicate. Don't be an asshole. It goes both ways. When you're the one practicing or listening, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
It goes both ways. So just be mindful of how you communicate with each other too. Careful with the words that you're choosing, because you can really hurt someone's feelings. And then they might never sing again, and then you're the reason. Because obviously, like, you are not responsible for other people's feelings, but also, hey, the street goes both ways, right? Like, you gotta be nice, and do it in a way that's not just gonna ruin someone's voice, like singing, like joy for singing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, be nice about it. Yes, be nice, be kind. Always be kind, like my mom says. Always be kind, like no exceptions. No exceptions, no matter what. Being kind.
Cute.
There you go.
Nice.
Love it. Alrighty. Thanks for joining me on this one, Juliana.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Anytime. If you at home want to, get a little bit better at practicing or feel more comfortable practicing, we've got some awesome tracks that you can download. I'll put the links in the description below in the episode notes as well, so you can check that out. And other than that, that's it for today. We'll catch you for the next one. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.